where we attempted to do a top speed run in this, and every time we tried to do something, the car broke. And it was a different fault every time. This fault we're getting now is no communication with the fuel pump control module. So the car will start up for about 1 second.
Bugatti allegedly refused to help repair one of its own legendary Veyrons, leaving independent builder Mat Armstrong facing a battle few believed he could win. What looked like a routine restoration quickly ignited questions about manufacturer control, hidden policies, and whether owners truly have the right to fix their own cars. Millions watched the dispute unfold, while crucial facts remained hidden from everyone. So, was Bugatti protecting engineering excellence, or protecting something else entirely? Unpurchased changed everything forever. Buying a Bugatti Veyron should have been the highlight of Mat Armstrong's automotive journey. Instead, it became the beginning of a challenge that would test far more than his mechanical ability. The car had been repossessed after its previous owner was reportedly faced with an enormous repair estimate for what was believed to be a failed gearbox. While most people saw an expensive problem that was beyond saving, Mat saw an opportunity to investigate whether the diagnosis was truly as hopeless as it appeared. That decision would quickly place him on a collision course with one of the world's most exclusive car manufacturers. From the outside, the Veyron looked remarkably well preserved. Its bodywork remained in excellent condition, the interior showed little sign of abuse, and the legendary W16 engine still started without obvious complaint. Yet one major issue overshadowed everything else. The transmission refused to engage, leaving the car unable to move under its own power. According to the information that accompanied the vehicle, fixing the problem could cost between $100,000 and $150,000. That staggering figure had been enough for the previous owner to give up on the car entirely, allowing it to end up with a repossession company before Mat stepped in. Although the challenge appeared intimidating, Mat approached it with cautious confidence rather than blind optimism. Years spent rebuilding damaged supercars had taught him that expensive diagnoses sometimes concealed surprisingly simple faults. Before accepting the official explanation, he wanted answers based on evidence instead of assumptions. However, one obstacle became obvious almost immediately. Access to information and manufacturer support would prove far more difficult than repairing bolts, wiring, or mechanical components. Expecting at least basic guidance, Mat began trying to contact Bugatti. After all, the company had built the car and understood its engineering better than anyone. Instead of finding cooperation, he encountered silence. Calls were placed to different Bugatti departments, including service and parts, yet meaningful assistance remained frustratingly out of reach. The lack of communication raised uncomfortable questions. Was this simply poor customer service, or was something else influencing the company's approach to independent repairs? Nobody outside Bugatti knew the answer. Manufacturers often limit repairs on highly specialized vehicles for safety, quality control, and liability reasons. Those explanations carry legitimate weight, especially with machines capable of extraordinary performance. Yet from Mat's perspective, the absence of even straightforward communication made the situation feel increasingly difficult to understand. What had started as an ambitious restoration was becoming something much larger. The Veyrons' mechanical problems were no longer the only mystery demanding attention, and the search for answers was only beginning. How could a catastrophic Bugatti gearbox failure trace back to something as simple as a blown fuse? What did Mat actually uncover inside the system that the official diagnosis missed? And if the problem was never the gearbox, what else is being hidden, really hidden? Stay with us. Tiny fuse that shattered giant assumptions. The Bugatti Veyron arrived with a reputation that seemed impossible to escape. According to the information surrounding the car, its gearbox had suffered a failure so severe that repairing it would reportedly cost between $100,000 and $150,000. That estimate had convinced the previous owner to walk away, allowing the hypercar to end up with a repossession company before Mat Armstrong bought it. To many observers, the verdict already seemed final. The transmission was assumed to be beyond saving, and few expected an independent workshop to uncover anything different. Yet Mat refused to accept an expensive conclusion without first examining the evidence for himself. The symptoms certainly looked serious. Every attempt to select a gear ended in frustration because the transmission simply refused to engage. The Veyron remained locked in place, reinforcing the belief that something deep inside the gearbox had catastrophically failed. Considering the car's complexity and its reputation for extraordinary repair costs, that explanation sounded believable. Even experienced enthusiasts would have expected an extensive mechanical rebuild rather than a simple solution hidden beneath the surface. Instead of preparing for the worst, Mat approached the problem methodically. He understood that modern performance cars rely on electronics and hydraulic systems working together, meaning one small failure can sometimes imitate a much larger mechanical disaster. Rather than replacing major components immediately, he carefully traced the fault through the systems responsible for operating the gearbox. That patient investigation eventually led him somewhere almost nobody expected. The real culprit was not a destroyed gearbox at all. It was a blown fuse controlling the hydraulic gearbox pump. That pump plays a critical role in building the hydraulic pressure needed for the transmission to engage gears. Every time the door opens, the pump primes the system, maintaining the pressure required for normal operation. Once the fuse failed, the pump stopped working, hydraulic pressure disappeared, and the gearbox could no longer shift. The transmission itself had never been the immediate problem. Replacing the damaged fuse costs only a few dollars. As soon as the new fuse was installed, the hydraulic system came back to life. Pressure returned, and the Veyron was selected to drive again, without the dramatic failure everyone had feared. The contrast between a tiny electrical component and a repair estimate worth hundreds of thousands of dollars immediately transformed the entire story. Still, the discovery did not prove the original estimate had been dishonest or careless. A blown fuse rarely fails without an underlying cause, and something else inside the system still demanded investigation. Even so, the incident raised difficult questions about diagnosis, repair procedures, and assumptions surrounding one of the world's most exclusive cars. The gearbox mystery had largely disappeared, but a much deeper mystery had only just begun. Why would a manufacturer remain silent when critical systems begin to fail? What happens when essential components are locked behind policy rather than access? And how far can a repair go when the people who built it refuse to respond at all? Keep watching. Silence raised even bigger questions. Solving the gearbox problem should have marked a turning point in Mat Armstrong's restoration. Instead, it revealed a new collection of faults that could not be solved with a simple fuse. Although the Veyron was finally able to move, other issues continued to appear, reminding everyone that repairing one of the world's most complex hypercars would require far more than mechanical skill. This time, the answers seemed likely to come from the company that had built the car. With that in mind, Mat reached out to Bugatti, expecting at least some level of technical support. What followed became one of the most revealing chapters of the entire project. His first calls were directed to Bugatti's service and parts departments. Since the Veyron was an official Bugatti product, contacting the manufacturer seemed like the most logical next step. Yet each attempt ended in disappointment. Calls went unanswered, messages produced no meaningful response, and the information he needed remained out of reach. Hoping for better luck, he expanded his search beyond one location, contacting Bugatti dealerships and service centers through every available number he could find. The result remained largely the same. Instead of guidance, he encountered silence. The contrast became impossible to ignore when he contacted the sales department. Unlike the service lines, someone responded quickly and even returned his call. That initial success briefly suggested progress was finally being made. However, once he explained that he needed assistance repairing an existing Veyron rather than buying a new one, the process slowed once again. He was transferred to a service manager, but meaningful communication remained frustratingly difficult. The difference between purchasing a Bugatti and repairing one appeared striking. Mat traced another serious fault to the fuel pump control module. Diagnostic testing pointed toward the component as a likely cause of the car's starting problems. Eventually, Bugatti confirmed that the required module was available through its official network. However, the response came with conditions that changed the direction of the entire story. The company would not simply sell the module for independent installation. Instead, the part would only be supplied and fitted through Bugatti's own authorized service system, with the quoted price reaching tens of thousands of pounds. That decision immediately fueled debate. Supporters of Bugatti could argue that specialized components on an extremely high-performance vehicle demand strict quality control, trained technicians, and factory oversight to protect safety and reliability. Others questioned whether those policies also limited independent repairs by restricting access to essential parts. Without direct insight into Bugatti's internal reasoning, neither conclusion could be confirmed. What was certain, however, was that the restoration had evolved beyond fixing a damaged Veyron. It was becoming a wider examination of ownership, manufacturer authority, and who ultimately controls the future of an extraordinary machine. How deep does this shared parts network really go, and what was never meant to be seen? Could Bugatti's exclusivity be hiding a far more ordinary foundation? And if so, who benefits from keeping it buried? What else is still undiscovered beneath the surface? Let's find out. Secrets hidden inside ordinary parts. With Bugatti limiting access to certain components, Mat Armstrong realized the restoration would require a different strategy. Waiting for official solutions would only slow the project, so he turned to careful research instead. Every faulty part became a clue, and every part number offered another path to explore. Rather than accepting that every Veyron component was unique and available only through Bugatti, he began investigating where those parts originally came from. That decision transformed the restoration into something much larger than repairing a damaged hypercar. It became an investigation into the hidden supply chain behind one of the world's most exclusive automobiles. While researching the fuel pump control module, Mat made another unexpected discovery. He found documentation showing that Bugatti had previously issued a recall affecting 72 Veyrons because of problems involving the fuel tank control unit. The recall required owners to receive an upgraded replacement module together with updated software. When he checked his own car, he discovered it already carried the newer version, meaning the recall work had apparently been completed sometime in its history. Yet the same component had still developed faults. The finding did not prove Bugatti had done anything wrong, but it introduced another layer of uncertainty into an already complicated situation. As his research continued, Mat noticed a surprising pattern. Several parts fitted to the Veyron closely matched components already used elsewhere within the wider Volkswagen group. One instance was the hydraulic gearbox pump, which he discovered shared its design with a pump fitted to the Audi A6 Allroad. Instead of purchasing the complete Bugatti assembly at its official price, he sourced the equivalent motor for a fraction of the cost and adapted the existing wiring connection. The engineering challenge remained real, but the financial difference was impossible to ignore. The discoveries did not stop there. The gearbox pressure accumulators were traced back to parts used on the Volkswagen Lupo, allowing replacements to be obtained far more cheaply than the Bugatti versions. Even the spark plugs could be cross-referenced through Volkswagen part numbers to identical NGK components. Each successful match reinforced the same idea. Beneath the Veyron's extraordinary performance and exclusivity, certain service items still belong to a much larger family of shared engineering. These findings sparked understandable debate. Some viewed the shared parts as evidence that owners could safely reduce maintenance costs through careful research and expert knowledge. Others argued that identical components might still require unique calibration, testing, or installation when used inside a 1,000-horsepower Bugatti. Both perspectives carried reasonable weight, and neither fully dismissed the other. What remained undeniable was that persistence had uncovered options many people never realized existed. As more connections emerged, the restoration became less about finding replacement parts and more about challenging long-held assumptions surrounding exclusivity, pricing, and access without losing sight of the remarkable engineering that made the Veyron extraordinary. As Mat pushes deeper into independent engineering, the question grows more intense. Can sheer determination override factory-level support? What really happens when specialist knowledge clashes with limited resources? And how far can a project go before engineering reality finally pushes back? And at what cost? Stay glued. Persistence replaced official approval completely. Despite the obstacles placed before him, Mat Armstrong refused to abandon the project. Each challenge reinforced a central truth: restoring a Bugatti Veyron demands patience, research, and a willingness to question assumptions that most would never challenge. Rather than relying solely on the manufacturer's network, he gathered insight from specialists, technical references, and hands-on experience with high-performance rebuilds. His aim was not to disprove Bugatti, but to understand whether such a machine could be restored responsibly when official support was limited. One of the next major milestones was the Veyrons annual service, a procedure known for its staggering cost. Bugatti recommends replacing all essential fluids every year through authorized service centers, with estimates reportedly reaching around $27,000. This figure reflects the car's extreme engineering complexity, including a dry sump lubrication system with multiple drain points spread across the engine, gearbox, and supporting systems. Accessing these components requires significant disassembly, making the process far more intricate than a standard service. Rather than accepting the quoted cost without scrutiny, Mat broke the job down step by step. He removed components methodically, documented every stage, and sourced either genuine or equivalent parts wherever possible. Each decision was deliberate, balancing cost with mechanical integrity. Support came from Bugatti specialist Simon Furlonger, who helped secure an official oil filter through legitimate channels while providing technical guidance throughout the service. Their collaboration showed that independent work did not have to mean guesswork. With accurate information, experience, and preparation, even highly complex systems could be approached in a structured and controlled way. As more parts were sourced outside the official network, the financial contrast became impossible to ignore. Components that carried premium Bugatti pricing were often available through the wider Volkswagen Group supply chain at far lower costs. Combined with careful workshop labor, the full annual service was completed for approximately $1,193.83, a dramatic difference from the original estimate. However, the result required important context. These savings did not imply that any owner could safely replicate the process. Mat brought years of mechanical experience, specialist tools, professional contacts, and the patience to solve problems most workshops would avoid. Working on a Bugatti Veyron remains extremely demanding, and even small errors could lead to severe consequences. By the time the service was complete, the Veyron was running more smoothly than it had since arriving at the workshop. Yet the restoration was still not finished. What had begun as a mechanical rebuild had evolved into something larger, raising deeper questions about access, responsibility, and who ultimately holds the authority to decide how extraordinary machines are maintained. After everything that went into bringing the Veyron back to life, what still remains hidden beneath its surface? Who truly holds control when a hypercar refuses to fully obey its maker, and what really happens when it's pushed beyond factory limits one last time? Victory came with lingering questions. Months of relentless work had transformed the Bugatti Veyron from an abandoned project into a machine that could finally return to the road. Countless hours of diagnosis, repairs, research, and careful engineering had pushed the car far beyond what many believed possible. Yet Mat Armstrong understood that getting it running again was only the beginning, not the finish line. The real test was whether it could still perform as its creators intended, or if deeper issues were still waiting beneath the surface. As the final stages of the rebuild came together, the Veyron slowly regained its identity. Damaged body panels were repaired, worn components were replaced, and its look was refreshed with satin metallic silver accents in place of the original light blue details. Every improvement brought it closer to its former glory, but also raised new questions about how much of the original engineering still remained intact after so many interventions. One of the most inventive challenges came with the Bugatti Speed Key. Instead of sourcing an official replacement, Mat collaborated with an experienced auto locksmith to build a homemade version capable of activating the car's top performance mode. It was a small but defining moment, showing how creativity and technical skill could bridge gaps where factory support was unavailable. With the Veyron now mechanically prepared, attention turned toward its ultimate test: The car was transported to a runway where its full potential could finally be explored in a controlled environment. Before it was allowed into top speed mode, it had to pass a strict series of electronic safety checks that governed everything from tire pressure to suspension behavior. The process highlighted just how tightly modern hypercars are governed by their internal systems. After successfully driving more than 150 miles, the Veyron showed remarkable progress. However, new power loss, warning lights, and fuel pump control issues emerged before the project could end smoothly. While the setbacks supported Bugatti's view that the car requires specialized expertise, Mat's progress also proved that skilled independent specialists can overcome seemingly impossible challenges. In the end, the question was no longer simply whether the Veyron could be repaired. It had become something larger, a debate about control, access, and the future of complex automotive engineering. What no one could yet answer was whether the next failure would be minor, or the one that changes everything. So, what do you think? Should Bugatti have supported Mat Armstrong or protected its policies? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more automotive stories and updates.